Welcome back. This is chapter 6, On the Face of It, written by Susan Hill. And now I'm going to explain page number 58 and 59 to you. So here we go. Mr. Lamb. No, not the whole of you, not of you. Derry. Yes. Pause. Mr. Lamb. Later on, when it's a bit cooler, I'll get the ladder and a stick and pull down those crab apples. They're ripe for it. I make jelly. It's a good time of year, September. Look at them, orange and golden. That's magic fruit. I often say, but it's best picked and made into jelly. You could give me a hand. So here, this line say, Mr. Lamb responded saying his entire look isn't bad. In fact, he didn't look bad at all. But Derry thought otherwise. After a lull in conversation, Lamb spoke. He said, later in the day, when air got a little cooler, he would take ladder and, with the help of a stick, would pull down those crab apples since they were ripe and ready for jelly. It was the best time of the year to make jelly out of those orange and yellow magic fruits. Then Lamb asked for his hand. Next part now. Derry. What have you changed the subject for? People always do that. Why don't you ask me? Why do you do what they all do and pretend it isn't true and isn't there? In case I see you looking at mine and get upset, I'll tell you don't ask me because you're afraid to. So here, this line say, Derry, in a tone of complaint, asked Mr. Lamb for the reason for changing the topic and behaving in the manner as others did. That is, pretending all the time. He knew people were afraid to ask him a question when he found them stealing his eyes and looking at him and brooding and getting upset about him. Next part now. Mr. Lamb. You want me to ask? Say so then. Derry. I don't like being with people. Any people. Mr. Lamb. I should say, to look at it, I should say you got burnt in a fire. Derry. Not in a fire. I got acid all down that side of my face and it burnt it all away. It ate my face up. It ate me up. And now it's like this and it won't ever be any different. So here this line say, Lamb realized he was offended for not asking about his face. And then commenting on it, he said he thought it was burnt in a fire. Derry, though disliked company of others, replied to him. He said it was acid that burned that side of his face and regretted that he would always look as ugly as it was. Next part now. Mr. Lamb. No, Derry, aren't you interested? Mr. Lamb. You're a boy who came into the garden. Plenty too. I'm interested in anybody, anything. There's nothing God made that doesn't interest me. Look over there, over beside the far wall. What can you see? So here this line say, Lamb outrightly rejected his claims. Derry thought he was not interested. Lamb informed that he was interested in all the things and all the men in this world that God had made, God had created. Then, pointing to a far end of the wall, he wanted to know what he could see over there. Next part now. Derry. Rubbish. Mr. Lamb. Rubbish? Look, boy, look, what do you see? Derry. Just grass and stuff. Weeds. Mr. Lamb. Some call them weeds. If you like, then a weed garden, that. There's fruit, and there are flowers and trees and herbs, all sorts. But over there, weeds. I grow weeds there. What is one green growing plant called a weed and another flower? There's the difference. It's all life growing. Same as you and me. So here this line say, Rubbish, answered Derry without a thought. Lamb, wanting to get a clear-cut answer, and asked him to look at that portion again. This time, he said, it was weed. Lamb responded saying, some call them weed garden, and he grew weeds besides fruit and flower plants and herbs. To him it was quite strange that some green plants were called weeds, whereas other flowers, though both are life-giving and growing. He found similarity in their life too. Next part now. Derry. We're not the same. Mr. Lamb. I'm old, you're young. You've got a burnt face, I've got a thin leg. Not important. You're standing there, I'm sitting here. Where's the difference? Derry. Why have you got a thin leg? Mr. Lamb. A real one got blown off years back. Lamey lamb, some kids say. Haven't you heard them? You will. Lamey lamb, it fits, doesn't trouble me. So here this line say. Derry contradicted him. To this, Mr. Lamb figured out the difference between them. He informed he had a thin leg. Derry asked why he had got a thin leg. Lamb informed him that his real leg got blown off several years ago, and that's why kids called him Lamey Lamb. This name suited him, and his new name never bothered him. Next part now. Derry. But you can put on trousers and cover it up, and no one sees, or they don't have to notice and stare. Mr. Lamb. Some do, some don't, or they get tired of it in the end, or there's plenty of other things to stare at. Derry. Like my face, Mr. Lamb, like crab apples, or the weeds, or a spider climbing up a silken ladder, or my tall sunflowers. So here, this line say, Derry had a point to make to hide his thin leg. He could use trousers to hide it, and that could save him from unwanted attention. But for him, covering his face was impossible. Mr. Lamb had a proper logic to make him feel good. He said, some do stare, but in the long run, that is, in the long end, they get tired of it. Moreover, there are lots of things to look at. Derry responded sharply, saying, like his face. Lamb, on the other hand, pointed at crab apples, wheat, spider net, and sunflower. Derry said those were all things. Next part now. Derry. Things. Mr. Lamb. It's all relative. Beauty and the Beast. Derry. What's that supposed to mean, Mr. Lamb? Are you telling me? So here these lines say, Derry said those were all things. Mr. Lamb reacted sharply again and said, it was all relative like Beauty and Beast. Derry wanted to know what he meant by that, but Lamb wanted him to answer that question himself. So this is all for now. Thank you.